Hi guys, hope you're having a great day. Today I wanted to talk about rabbit resistant plants. We are very open here at Home Farm and I wanted to go through some of the plants that we are finding to be the least edible or yummy for rabbits. So as you can see, our situation is very rural and countryside, and we have hedgerows, but they have just got a wire fencing through the hedgerows. So we have rabbits in and out of our front garden all the time. Our back garden is walled, so rabbits can't get into that. So I'm able to plant lots of different varieties in our back garden, but our front garden is something that I have to be really conscious of when I'm purchasing a plant. Is it going to be worth purchasing? Because if it's going to get eaten in 24 hours by rabbits, it's just not worth the risk. I also don't like caging stuff or kind of putting anything down that's dangerous for the animals, the wildlife in the area. So I really do just work with the environment that we're in and just keep everything as natural as possible. So whenever I do buy a plant, the first thing I do is I tend to go onto Google and I search that plant, especially if it's one that I haven't tried before, and I see, is this rabbit resistant or are rabbits going to eat it? But what I'm finding is the majority of the time it takes me to the RHS website, Royal Horticultural Society here in the UK, and I've got to say that there's kind of an awful lot of, you know, we think this is rabbit resistant, it kind of is rabbit resistant, but rabbits are different, and just like the human beings, you can never really predict what they're going to really fancy that day and what they're not, or if they're really going through a period of starvation and hunger, they pretty much will go for whatever is just going to keep them alive. So it's really interesting for us to see what is working in our front garden and what I have not had success with. So I'm going to kind of cover two areas. One is shrubs, and then we'll talk about flowers and kind of more perennial flowering plants after that. But shrubs, to be honest with you, I have found them to be quite durable. I have found them not to have too much of an issue with rabbits, so I haven't really had to worry too much. But the ones that have been really safe have been the elders. I've never had any issues with either the elder flower, the kind of white flower green plant, or the black elder lace. Never had an issue with that. Viburnums are a fantastic option if you're looking for an evergreen shrub that's rabbit resistant, and that some of the viburnums do flower as well. Some of them give you flowers and berries. There's quite a nice options available, different colors, different shapes of leaves and things, but majority of them, I think, or all of them, I'm not sure, but certainly all the viburnums we've got are evergreen, so they are a really good purchase. They are a little bit more on the higher end price point wise, so they are a bit more of an investment, but they are really worth the investment because they are lovely shrubs. Also, you've got other shrubs, kind of like the sedums. They tend to do really well, and I haven't had any issues with them. And the smoke bush as well, no issues with those shrubs. And buxus, bulls, and all of those kind of things, we haven't had any issues with rabbits on those. So shrubs have been quite hardy, and I really haven't had too many issues with shrubs. Trees, on the other hand, definitely you want to protect. If they're saplings or if they're young trees, really do think about putting in some guards around the base of them. I have had issues with rabbits and squirrels bark stripping. In fact, I might have lost a couple of apple trees this year, so I would definitely recommend, if you're going to put in saplings or new trees into an area that is prone to rabbits or squirrels, do think about protecting the base of the trees for bark stripping, because that is a bit of a bummer when you lose trees for, you know, from that kind of thing. But shrubs, yeah, quite easy. We'll just pan around and show you the kind of shrubs that we have in our front garden so you can kind of see, but they have been pretty easy. The biggest problem is flowering plants. Flowering plants, the ones I have had success with. Penstemons, number one. Penstemons I have had success with, not just fairly established plants that I've bought from the garden centre that have been so big, still in I think 9 centimetres or 1 litre pots, but even these ones that came in 9 centimetre pots this year, and this has been growing now for 2 months. So when I got it, it was literally just, you know, kind of one of these. It was a really small tender plant, I popped it straight in, and I was really intrigued to see whether the rabbits would go for it because it was so small and tender and soft and juicy, but they haven't at all. So it's really nice and heartening to see that my Penstemons can go in at any stage of their lives, and the rabbits are not gonna go for them. And I think with Penstemons also, what's so nice about Penstemons is that you have so many different color varieties as well. So we've got blues and pinks, so you do have some options there for your flowering plants in Penstemons. The other one is the Veronica. We've got several Veronicas throughout the front garden. This is one that we've just popped in a couple of weeks ago. Still quite young and small, and the rabbits have not gone for the Veronicas at all. At any stage in life, they have not eaten them. I have had quite good success with them. This is the Veronica. It's a lovely purple spire flower, absolutely gorgeous. And they have not gone for Veronicas, so really pleased to see that. More herbaceous plant, lavender, I've had success with. They haven't gone for my lavender, which has been great. But I would just caveat that and say just be aware of herbs and herbaceous plants. I just kind of had the lavender in and it was working really well. And then around our vegetable garden, I didn't even think about it. I just thought that it would be a completely safe plant. I put rosemary all the way on the outside of our vegetable garden, and you know, you live and learn. So they don't actually eat the rosemary bush because again it's very woody, but they do strip off those leaves. So you kind of go down and think, is it slugs? No, it wasn't slugs. It was the rabbits. They just strip off all those nice fresh young rosemary leaves in spring predominantly. Now that the plant is established and we're in the summer and it's really growing and vibrant and healthy, they're not bothered about it at all. They're not touching it again. But certainly in the spring when you've got new shoots, they go and they'll just strip off all those green leaves. So rosemary is not a good one. Another one which I was really surprised about is chives. I had a whole bunch of chives growing on our back garden wild, almost like weeds. They self-seeded throughout the patio. So I actually just dug them out and I planted them down here, and you would not believe how much the rabbits have enjoyed their chives. They have gone for them and eaten and devoured chives. So I would just be very, very cautious if you're putting in a herb garden or if you're putting in just herbs in general, even in pots and containers that are accessible to rabbits. I would just look up and check what is edible to them, because you would be surprised. I was even surprised recently to find out that lemon verbena is a really nice, tasty treat for a rabbit. So yeah, be careful with that. Talking about verbena, I have been putting in flowering verbena, and when I looked it up, it was not supposed to be yummy for rabbits. It was supposed to be rabbit resistant. I'm not finding that. I'm finding that a lot of the rabbits, if it's a small enough and young enough verbena, just one that's, you know, more of an annual that you've picked up in a very small pot from the garden centre, they're eating it and they're chewing through it, unless it's an established verbena that is a little bit bigger and a little bit bushier. So if you want to put a verbena in, I would just recommend purchasing one that is a bit bigger and a bit more established. I think you'd have more success with that. I wouldn't really go for risking putting in anything that's like a really small baby verbena. Wildflowers are another option. We've got the whole driveway covered in oxeye daisies and wildflowers, and the rabbits have not ever touched these or gone for these. They do die back hard every single year and then grow again. So they, you know, obviously the rabbits, you know, it is growing every year, every spring. It's growing up and having a whole new tender plant, and the rabbits don't attack it when it is at that stage. And as you can see, we've got abundant amounts of flowers here that are the wild seeds. So that is definitely another option, is to go look at your meadow flowers and things like that. So here, as you can see, that side of the bench around the pond is also just self-seeded wildflowers. We've got red companion in there, we've got foxgloves, and the rabbits never ever go for those. So again, just going on, talking through the wildflowers. And then here in this border, we've got a lady's mantle that dies back I mean, it does have a little bit of foliage on it, but it does die back predominantly, most of it, in the winter. And again, it comes back every single year and the rabbits never touch it. And then here in this, behind this bench, I've got another Viburnum. Rabbits haven't attacked it. And then I put these Salvias in this year. They were in a 3-litre pot, so they were quite established salvias, but the rabbits have never gone for my salvias, and they are a really good plant because you can get your perennial salvias that come back every year. They give you huge amounts of flowers, and they've got a really nice variety of colours, salvias. So if you're looking for blues, pinks, that kind of thing, even oranges, you can get some really nice colourful salvias. And the rabbits have not gone for them, which I've been surprised about, honestly, because some of your salvias can be quite almost herbaceous and smell. You know, you kind of break the leaves and you can smell them. So I kind of did expect the rabbits to go for the salvias, but they haven't. So I would definitely say that salvias are worth a try. And here at the pond deck, we actually have a family of rabbits that live underneath this deck, so you don't get much closer than that with regards to risking your plants. But I have still put in a flower border around the edge of this pond deck, so everything in here has also survived the wild rabbits, I'm pleased to say. So you can always think about your grasses. Obviously, you've got loads of different kind of types of wild grasses, and you know, grasses can be just as attractive as flowers and flowering plants. So I would definitely think about looking at grasses. Excuse some extra weeding that needs to go on here. And then we've also got a lot of Skimmia Japonica in here. We've got Euphorbias. So Euphorbias have been really successful, and the rabbits haven't gone for them. So I've been really pleased to see that. Then also along here, I've got a deep red Lobelia, a tall Lobelia, and they haven't gone for that. I've put in Alpine Edelweiss this year, which will have a nice little white flower on, and that's something that it's just experimental, but they haven't touched it. Also, there's the Centaurea Montana, which gives you a lovely blue flower. They haven't touched that one. And there is also this one, and I'm really sorry, I forget the variety name, but it was basically like a sea buckthorn, you know, kind of like that soft blue thistle-y kind of flower. So those have also been really safe. So you can really fill out a whole bed of plants where the rabbits will not go for them. In fact, there's an Agapanthus just here near the camera, and they haven't ever touched the Agapanthus. So Agapanthus is another one as well. And then we've got some Veronica down there and some Hebes as well. Hebes is a very nice flowering shrub, and they haven't touched those. And then if you want something really red and fiery, really architectural, I always have safe success with Crocosmias. They have never gone for Crocosmias. The Crocosmias here in our farm actually self-seed all over the place. They self-seed into fields, and they do self-seed in the garden, but they're very easy. They're not aggressive self-seeders, so you know, they're not prolific. You're not going to be just picking out Crocosmias for the rest of your life if you don't want them, but you will see 1 or 2 shoots. So they do want to naturalize, but they are really lovely plants, and they give you a really nice long flowering period. That you can get anything in oranges, yellows, reds, beautiful long flower, very nice and tall, so you can get some nice height off them. So really nice, a nice back border or a filler in the middle or a back of a flower bed, and the rabbits have never ever gone for those. So Crocosmia is another one that is a safe bulb plant to put in as well. Then on this side of the front garden, we have a completely different kettle of fish with regards to really different flowers. Here behind me, I've got a peony and lupin garden, which we put in a couple of years ago. And again, the lupins and the peonies never had a problem with rabbits at all, and they've all been purchased at different heights. So some of them have been really tiny, and some of them have been more established, and the rabbits have never gone for them. Also in the center bed, we've put in Osteospermums this year. I've got some coral kind of bronzy ones on this side, and I've got a purple sun on the other side. When I did purchase them, they were in pots. They were 2-litre pots. They were already flowering, so they were quite, you know, established and chunky and tall, and ready to be planted. And the rabbits did not go go for those. On this side I did put in a couple of asters. They were all at different stages of life, so I bought one that were in 9cm pots and they were very, very small and young plants, and I bought one that was a little bit bigger and a little bit bushier. The bushier one hasn't been attacked by rabbits. I did just deadhead this a couple of days ago, that's why there are some snips on there. But these asters, they were half the size and the rabbits did go for them. They did eat them because they were very tender young leaves. So they ate them twice, and twice I kind of protected them. I put some fish blood powder around the base of the plant, and it kind of did deter them. I don't think it really stops the rabbits from eating what they want to eat, but it does kind of put them off. It makes them, like, you know, think, oh, okay, maybe I'll just turn my nose up and go somewhere else. It's easier. So now they are more established, and now they've got this much growth on them, the rabbits are leaving them alone. So if you're going to put an aster in, I would just say by all means do, but just put it in when it's a little bit more established, and which is odd actually, because you think about, you know, the fact that the oxeye daisies are also kind of in the aster family. So the fact that they don't go for our oxeye daisies every year and they just sprout up straight from the ground, but they don't. So, you know, you can never ever be too sure, but I can only share what is working with us and what is our experience, and it might even change year on year, so we might have to do this on an annual basis. So dahlias I put in this year, we're actually, we've grown quite a lot of dahlias this year, and I was really nervous. I was thinking, oh my goodness, please don't eat my all my dahlias that I've grown on from tubers. But I put the dahlias out when they were, I would say, relatively established plants. They were probably about 40 centimeters high, and they were in 3-litre pots. And I have not, so far, touch wood, not had any issues with the rabbits eating the dahlias. I would also just say that, you know, if you're thinking about gardening and your design of your garden with regards to, you know, kind of trying to work with wild rabbits, just think about heights as well. So, you know, for example, we have heard, or I have read, that rabbits won't jump anything higher than 1 meter, but I've even kind of had that as 70 centimeters. So if you're wanting to even maybe put a raised bed in, that will help deter rabbits. Rabbits kind of want it, especially wild rabbits, they just want an easy access to things, and they want to be able to easily escape if there's a predator around. So they don't really want to be getting themselves into tricky situations. So, you know, for them to be able to just go and graze on the ground is very nice and easy, but to jump into things and jump on top of things, it's just, you know, it might happen, but it's just not going to be as likely. So you can think about your raised beds and different heights. You can also obviously think about things like hanging baskets. If you wanted to put something in that was really tasty for rabbits, I believe that things like petunias and geraniums and things can be quite tasty for rabbits. So if you wanted to put those into your hanging baskets, you could. But yeah, dahlias I've had perfect success with so far, touch wood. Had more of an issue with slugs. And then also in the raised bed on the other side of the driveway, and that's at 70 centimeters high. This one is a lot lower. The one I'm standing at now is only, I would say, at about 40 centimeters high, and the rabbits haven't jumped. I haven't seen them jump up here, I haven't seen them go on to here. So that will be interesting if I do, but they haven't so far. And I think that this has been in now for about 2 or 3 months, Mars. So the one behind that's at 70 centimeters, that's got Diascia, petunias, and some snapdragons, and they haven't jumped up onto that 70 centimeter raised bed, and they haven't eaten anything in there. So that's something else. And then just while we're here, I just wanted to throw it out there as well, just with regards to flowering shrubs and plants. You can also think about your wild dog roses. For your hedgerows, it gives you a flower, it puts a flower into your hedgerows, and they won't go for that. I haven't had them ever go for roses. So roses is something if you wanted to put in a rose garden. And then also your buddleia, or I think in America they call it your butterfly bush, but your buddleias as well. You know, nice big shrub, lots and lots of flowers, and they don't touch that either. So I hope this video has helped give you some inspiration and ideas of things that can work when you've got wild rabbits, yeah, give you a bit more confidence to try things. I know that when we moved into this property, we had loads of evergreen. We had all the trees and all the evergreen shrubs and the acers and things, they were all here, but there was nothing flowering. There was no dahlias, lupins, peonies. Oh, actually I forgot to mention Nepeta. We just put Nepeta in and they haven't gone for the Nepeta. So there was no flowering perennials in this garden when we moved in here. It was just greenery and foliage. And so my first summer here, I just didn't even think, I don't know why I didn't think, because I have been watching the wild rabbits. It was part of the appeal of moving here, and I absolutely loved seeing them. But I just headed down to the garden centre completely naively, bought a whole bunch of stuff, came back, put it in, and within 2 days it would have been eaten and disappeared. So I was really disheartened, because I thought, oh my goodness, is that why the previous owners haven't put anything like this in? And is everything I put in just going to get eaten, and it's just going to be a complete waste of money? And then I had spent ages on the internet trying to figure out what was, you know, potentially rabbit resistant or wasn't, and then I even tried things that I had been told that are completely rabbit resistant. Crocuses are one that I was told that are rabbit resistant, and I put crocuses in this year, and every single one of them got eaten, and the rabbits went wild for them. They absolutely loved them. So I'm not going to be putting in crocuses again. Tulips is another one that I will not ever put in, because they got eaten too. But daffodils are one, if you're looking for a bulb spring plant, a flower that's going to give you lots and lots of flowers and is going to naturalize and come back every year. Daffodils is a really good one to look at as well. So I just wanted to basically share our experience, and just give you some motivation and inspiration for things that have worked, that I have had success with. I know I can't give you 100% guarantee. There is always the chance that your rabbits respond differently in your environment, are more hungry and they just go for it. But I can just share with you what our wild rabbits have not been interested in, and what they have been interested in. And yeah, fingers crossed that we can continue. I really think we're on the right path. We're not chicken wiring or fencing anything off. We're not putting any deterrents down. We're just doing this completely organically and naturally, and just working with the environment and working with the wildlife. So I can only just share my experience with you, and it may change year on year. So this is what's working for us at the moment. I hope you found this video useful and interesting. If you did, please subscribe and ring the bell, and we really hope to see you on our next video. Thanks for watching, take care, and happy gardening.